election was one of the most unexpected and surprising ones. And the questions are, how is this election going to affect Australia? What are the changes? Do Australians need to be concerned? To answer these questions, I came to talk to the Professor of Political Science and International Relations, David Denemark. So David, can you tell us how the American election will affect Australia?
It's a complicated question and probably a complicated answer. There are a number of things that I think are going to be crucial. One of them is the alliance that the US and Australia and New Zealand have been part of for 50 years. It was set up as a way to create stability in the region. One of the sources of instability in the region is China, and yet what's not quite clear is how this will affect China and its rise. For example, this connects in with what's called the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is a new arrangement that has been signed but not approved yet in the 11 countries around the Pacific region. So if one of the things that may keep China more stable and less aggressive in the region is American presence and involvement in trade relations, because Trump has said he might well let the TPP go and form a series of bilateral relationships, China, as you can probably see just in the news items being written this week, would gain significantly because it is a dramatic economic powerhouse, and the U.S. would have to go back to being a set of bilateral relations in trade. So that means more rules, more regulations, all have to be ironed out across the years with each one of the countries in the region. China would be smiling, and with that economic wealth comes the potential for its own heightened aggressiveness in military power. So what I'm trying to do is to suggest it all connects. And Australia, because it is a dramatic economic partner with China and the US, and a dramatic strategic partner of the United States.
Do you think it will be a hard word for the Prime Minister?
Well, Mr. Turnbull and Mr. Shorten, the leader of the Labour opposition, both reacted to the election of Mr. Trump in the last week. Both made speeches to Parliament. Both tried to find ways of saying America has been our best friend for half a century. With the departure of the British from its controlling resources in this side of the world after World War II, it fell to the United States as being the guarantor of Australian security. I think that's not going to change. I think America will continue to have a dominant military and economic role in this region. But the fact that some of the trade relations are going to change, and that in turn changes the assumptions of what we'll be able to sell in what ways. Will China really become an even larger economic actor because of the change in the TPP? Or will, in fact, Trump back off of that and renegotiate? So I think we really won't know the answers until January, when he becomes the President of the United States.
And for Australia, do you think the main thing is the trade?
Well, as I said, I think trade fits in with power, and with economic power, especially with China. China is clearly stretching its wings. It's playing games much more aggressively than I think most analysts of China would have guessed likely even a decade ago. China used to be very worried just about its own. It's a big country, it's a powerful country, it's got a long history, and it was argued looked inward and to just the boundaries at its edge. And now all of a sudden people are saying it's playing these much more aggressive games in the South China Sea. But that matters to everyone in this region, including the people that Australia trades with. So that if this country is providing coal and gas and raw materials to the countries that are making the physical commodities, including China, and they're going to make it now difficult, or will have to ask permission to go through the South China Sea, then I think that clearly raises alarm bells, and it says they may play have a very different military profile if these are the first signals of an increasingly aggressive and outward-looking China. And in turn, because the U.S. is the only actor in this region that could provide stability with its naval and air power, then what happens if Trump says we're going to be an America first country and not worry so much about Asia, despite the fact that Obama had said, I want to conduct a pivot to this region because Asia is where the world will turn for much of the next century. So if the U.S. really abandons Asia and begins to look back to the U.S., then that is nerve-wracking. I don't think he will do that. I think there are enough wiser souls in Washington who will say, we can't afford that. And if you care about America and jobs and growth and economic stability, then you cannot abandon Asia, because that's where the wealth and the jobs and whatever will come from.
Maura Magalhães for Undercurrent.